There we go.
Okay, I think we're all set to go. So, hi, my name's Aditi, and I'm here today with Miss Jaclyn Hunt, and we're going to talk a little bit more about autism awareness. So, before we get started, could you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Of course. My name is Jaclyn Hunt. I am a cognitive life coach for adults with autism. Uh, I work on a variety of different skills with my clients, things like social and communication skills, from the very basic up to the much more nuanced, building healthy, safe relationships from the ground up, working on things like life transitions, executive functioning skills, really working with individuals who need help managing their lives and building relationships.
The beautiful mission.
Thank you. I really enjoy the work that I do. I'm very passionate about it.
And can you tell us a bit about your journey and what led you to become a life coach for adults with autism?
Of course. So I was originally studying to be a marriage and family therapist, and therapy is wonderful. I love the field. I have a tremendous background in psychology, master's level, but everything I was learning uh, seemed to have no effect or the complete opposite effect on my relationship with my own husband. We discovered much later on that he was more neurodivergent, possibly autistic, at a high level, of course, as most of my clients are. And I started to learn more about autism, particularly in adulthood, because there's so much on children and adolescents, and
Mhm.
what happens when a child grows out of the school system, and what kind of supports and services do they have then? And so I became really passionate about that, just unstudied field, and went from my therapy training to a cognitive life coach to help individuals with their relationships and uh, getting jobs and building careers and finding opportunity, uh, because that's just highly needed in the world today with such a large population of neurodivergent individuals. So that's why it became my passion. I started in this field 13 years ago. So I was
Wow.
one of the pioneers in a way, one of the first to break into this space. And now if you explore the space a little further, you'll see amazing coaches and therapists and neuro affirming professionals in this space and growing. It's just really good to be part of that as it grows and expands and we're learning more.
Yeah, because 13 years ago, there honestly wasn't as much work being done into autism research or autism care, especially for adults living with autism.
Most definitely. It was a completely different world, and we still have a lot to do.
Hmm.
A lot has changed, but there's a lot more we need to work on to to help support these individuals.
So, working in your field, what are some common misconceptions that you've noticed, well, that people have about adults with autism?
Well, in pop culture, there isn't a lot of accurate portrayals of individuals with autism. So a lot of people think Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, or they think The Good Doctor, where he portrays an autistic savant who's highly, highly intelligent and hyper focused on the medical field and being a doctor. But that's not those portrayals. A lot of people think back to the movie Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman, another savant like interpretation of autism, which does exist, but a very small population of people. And so a lot of people think, oh, what are you really good at? What's your special interest? What's this or that? What kind of quirks do you have? But individuals with autism are doctors, lawyers, accountants, people we interact with, teachers, individuals, adults with autism are people we meet in our everyday life. And maybe they have some quirks. Maybe they get burnt out easily. Maybe they have some ADHD symptoms going on. But the majority of people with autism, remember it's a spectrum, not everybody's at one end or the other. You could go from nonverbal to not functioning very well, all the way up to high level doctors, lawyers, programmers, engineers. And then there's a lot of people in the middle. And so I think a lot of misconceptions are those extremes
Like a
rather than
polarizing kind of
a
view.
polarizing view, rather than the average everyday person that we probably know many people who are autistic, but we just never talk to them about it.
So, how does your coaching approach differ when you're working with clients who have autism versus when you're working with more neurotypical clients?
Ooh, and I do work with both. Sometimes when I'm working with couples, one or the other may be more neurotypical, and the other may be more autistic or neurodivergent. I use both interchangeably because some people prefer the label of autism, and I'm autistic. Others prefer neurodivergent because it encompasses a lot
It's
more.
more of an umbrella term.
More of an umbrella. Now, some people don't like the umbrella term, and some uh, do. So I try to go with what each individual prefers. And so I sometimes use them interchangeably. And when you're working with someone who's more neurotypical, you can be more open-ended. You can be more uh, exploratory. You can sort of give them an outline, and then they can go and run with it. But if you're working with someone who's autistic, you want to make it very concrete. You want to make it logical, step by step. You want to have a good, solid plan so that that individual can follow that plan step by step. Because if you ask a neurotypical person, how are you feeling today? They can dive into it if they choose and explain in great detail how they're feeling and why. But if you ask that same question to someone who's autistic, they may not be able to answer it because they don't know what you're asking. Autism is a social and communicative disability. And that means it's an invisible disability that you can't see with your eyes. It's more apparent when you get to know someone more intimately. And so they struggle with things like nuances of social communication. And an example I love to give when I'm trying to explain this concept is most people with autism look like everybody else. A lot of people say you don't look autistic. Well, autistic doesn't look like anything. Autism is everybody's face, but it's those invisible things like sarcasm, those invisible things like tone and inflection and eye contact and body language. So about 80% of communication is nonverbal. And if you say something like, "Ooh, let me think of an example. I I didn't throw your lunch out." Wink, wink. And I'm using exaggerated nonverbals to say, "Yeah, I did throw it out." But for someone with autism, they may miss all of that sarcasm, body language, and they
And
may
kind of
think,
take it at face value.
take it at face value. And so that leads to misunderstandings, confusion, anger, frustration, especially if it's a parent child relationship or a couple's relationship, you know, where the couple is just the people in the relationship are just confused. Why are you messing with me? What are you talking about? And so it is so complex, and there's not enough education about those intricate complexities. And that's what keeps me motivated to explain that and teach that and help both sides get closer to understanding each other.
Mhm.
Mm.
So, in your experience, what strengths or kind of unique perspectives do adults with autism, what do they bring to their personal or professional lives?
Oh, so many positives. Now, an amazing statistic is there are about 5 million diagnosed adults with autism in the United States today, and about 85% of them are unemployed. Now, not because they can't do a specific job, but because they sometimes clash with the boss or coworkers. They may have quirks that people find irritating. Um, they may come off as condescending when they're just giving facts, so the majority of unemployed individuals with autism is high because of their social skills, not because of their abilities. But when you are an employer who's open to neurodiversity and are neuroaffirming and a supportive environment, individuals that you bring in who happen to be autistic are going to be loyal. They're going to be willing to work in person. They're going to be timely. They're going to be accurate. They're not going to beat around the bush. They're going to follow the rules. They're going to very much appreciate their job and the opportunity that they've had. They're going to have advanced technical skills that the average person may not possess. Um, there's so many benefits, strong memorizational skills. Many with autism are doctors because they can memorize vast amounts of medical information and have that in their brain. So you get individuals who are passionate, you get individuals who are very, very good at what they do, who you can rely on, who are going to be in it for the long term, who are going to appreciate being in the workplace. There's so many benefits if you have the right employer. And we're becoming many employers, many big companies are starting autism at work initiatives. I know JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, many people at Google, many people at Amazon are more neurodivergent because these companies support those individuals. And so I would say to any company that's looking for reliable, smart, highly motivated individuals to add to their workforce, there are 5 million adults out there ready to work for you and would be so appreciative of that opportunity. I did a presentation at NASA last June. It was wonderful. There are so many autistic and neurodivergent individuals that work at space agency. And to be able to speak with them and have them be heard and know that that company, very large company, supports them by just doing presentations and talks and being neuroaffirming. We have amazing individuals with autism who work in very high level jobs. Why wouldn't you want them working at your company too? So there's a lot of benefit. And all it takes is a little knowledge and understanding, and you can have amazing people working for you.
That kind of leads right into my next question, actually. What do you think that workplaces, schools, or other kinds of communities can do to better support and include autistic people?
Ooh, there's so much that can be done to be more inclusive. Uh, sometimes the accommodations that someone who's autistic may need can seem a little strange. you know, uh, Burnout is very real in the autistic population. And not a lot of people understand why. There's a lot of misconceptions that people with autism process slowly, or people with autism aren't comprehending things the way others do. But the reality is, people with autism are often processing vast amounts of information very, very quickly. And it takes them a little more time to go through all of that information. Uh, a good example would be, I look at someone, I assess their face, their body language, and I come to the conclusion they look a little sad today. Someone with autism is looking at each piece individually, analyzing each piece, analyzing every word that was said. And that can be exhausting and lead to burnout. Now, when I am doing, let's say, a presentation, I'm in front of a lot of people. I hate that. I don't like being on the spot. It's always produced anxiety for me. But when I have to do it, it's usually maybe a couple times a month or every few months. I do it. I get stressed out. I'm anxious, but I mask those symptoms so I could do what I need to do. And I do a killer presentation. It's all good. And maybe afterwards, I'm exhausted. Maybe afterwards, I have a headache. Maybe I need to go to bed a little early that night. And then I recover and I go back to my daily life routine. But if you're someone with autism who feels that way every single day, 8 hours a day in and day out, and they don't get time to recover, they can burn out very quickly. If I had to do that every single day, I would be a ball of stress and mess, and I wouldn't be able to function. And so I think we need to understand that individuals with autism are expending a lot of physical and emotional energy every single day. And if that we can accommodate that and be a little more understanding of that, it would really help those in school, in the work environment, in relationships. It would really help those connections flourish.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand what you said about processing so much information on top of all the tasks that like, we as humans are already expected to do. It can be a lot.
Oh, most definitely. What comes easily to you or me may be a tremendous task for someone who doesn't know the shortcuts that we know. And they can be taught those shortcuts, but you don't know that a person needs to learn those shortcuts until you know that they're autistic. And even then, it's, some people are born with great artistic ability. They could just draw like very young, or they just get math, or they just know how to build things with their hands. Some people are born with certain talent. I was not born with great math ability, but because I have strong people and social skills, that never held me back. But perhaps I would be diagnosed with a math disability if somebody tested me. And for someone with autism, maybe they excel at math, maybe they excel at a whole bunch of different things, but nobody ever understood that their social and communicative needs are different than others, or their understanding of those concepts are different than others. And so it's like birds flying in perfect orientation instinctually. But if one of those birds was autistic, they'd be going off in another direction. And so we as society need to gather up those individuals and learn to work together and learn to make things more intuitive for everybody.
I think it's really beautiful almost how everyone's brain kind of works in a different way. Because if I mean if we were all the same, it would be like
It,
robots.
it would be pretty boring. And when you look back in history, some of the most amazing minds were probably autistic. Some of the most progress that we have made as a society were due to individuals who probably had autism, who were able to focus and delve into things so that we can move forward as a society. So we need all minds. And so we should embrace and support every neurology out there. And we just need to, part of autism awareness is not to just know it's out there, to know what that means, to know that there are people who think only in images and they have to translate those images to words. There are people who don't have an internal monologue. I talk to myself all day. Ooh, I'm hungry. Ooh, I need to do this email. Many people don't talk to themselves. They might think in images, movies, emotions, colors, and then they have to translate that out to the rest of the world. And so we don't think someone who's bilingual is incapable. They just need to translate from their native language to the new language that they know. And so it's the same. Individuals with autism are speaking a different language, and every single one of them have a different language. And we need to embrace and give them time to communicate with us. And it's just like a Mac and a PC. In the beginning, those two brands were so incompatible and you couldn't do one thing on the other, and there was no way. But today you can do everything on a Mac that you could do on a PC and vice versa. And now we have other operating systems as well. It's the same concept. We all are on different operating systems, and we just need to keep creating the software to be compatible with each other.
Wow, that's such an amazing metaphor, honestly. I've never thought about it like that.
I've
Could
had a
you
lot of time. I've had a lot of time to think about these things.
could you share a success story or maybe a powerful moment from your coaching experience, one that stayed with you?
Oh, there's so many moments, relationship moments. I think for me, one of the most powerful was when I worked with a client for a number of years. He was in college. He wasn't doing well academically. He had very low self-confidence, very, very depressed, not many friends, hardly any friends. And we worked together for a number of years. And after a while, you get to a certain point, you've made accomplishments, goals, you stop working together. Coaching is a bit more short term than therapy. And then years later, you get the phone call. I just want you to know I got married. And I'm starting a family and life is good. I have my career all set and I just wanted to let you know everything is good. I don't need a session. I just wanted to update you on things. And thank you for all the help you've given me in the past. And I get so many uh, outcomes like that. And that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me so passionate and motivated, that you can take people who are really struggling and have been struggling most of their lives. And all you need to do is make a few small changes and get on a new path, and your life can completely turn around. And I believe that's true for everybody. And you know, it's my goal to make sure everybody knows that they can reach out to someone like me. There are so many other coaches in the space these days. I'm in New Jersey. I'm an approved vendor with the New Jersey Department of Developmental Disabilities. So we have many NJDDD clients who can work with myself or other similar professionals using that funding. And so a lot of people don't know that's an option. A lot of people don't know that's available. And so I love spreading the word about that. And I want more opportunity to hear those kind of success stories. And it's always rewarding when you hear, I just got my dream job, or I just finally got married and started, you know, a family, or I graduated high school and made the dean's list, or college and made the dean's list when I was failing out previously. So many stories like that. And it's not just me, I have a team of coaches and I get to hear those stories through them as well. And so thousands and thousands of people turning their lives around. Uh, that's the most beautiful thing. And so that's what I want for everybody who's struggling, whether they're autistic, neurodivergent, ADHD, some people, other neurodivergencies are things like dyslexia, dyspraxia, Tourette's. A lot of these conditions are frustrating, but you can live an amazing life working around them. And so when the world understands that and supports us, uh, the sky's the limit in terms of what we can accomplish.
I was gonna say it must be such a blessing to be able to be part of a change in someone's life like that.
I don't think I would get that same reward being a therapist. Therapy is great. Therapy is wonderful. I have nothing again. I have wonderful relationships with excellent therapists across the country. But I don't think I personally would get the same rewarding feelings that I do in this profession. So I'm very lucky that I was able to get into this field and meet the people that I've met. And I'm really excited to see what comes next.
So, for people listening who want to be better allies to individuals with autism, what's one thing that you would suggest, one action that they could take today?
Oh, every single day when you're out in public, you're coming across someone who's neurodivergent. if there's someone who's a little quirky, a little different, sitting alone in a corner, maybe they're bagging groceries or putting carts away at the grocery store, just take a minute to say hi and smile. Just give everybody the opportunity to have some social interaction that day, because there's people in all of our lives that we've ignored or thought were strange, so we stayed away. It can't hurt to give someone a smile and say hello and chat for a few minutes. And so I think everybody can make that change today. And maybe you start to think, oh, I always thought that person was weird, but maybe they're just neurodivergent. Oh, maybe it's just really hard for them to get the words out, so I should give them a few more minutes to process. And that is so easy to do, and it takes absolutely no energy. So just a little change like that can make a tremendous impact. And there's, of course, so much more people can do. But if they want to learn more, I would be happy to tell them.
That pretty much wraps up all the questions I had. Do you have anything you'd want to say? Any final remarks?
Oh, there's so much I could say. I think that the biggest message, to sum it up quickly, is that autism is not an epidemic. Autism is not destroying families. The people that I have gotten to meet throughout my years of doing this work are some of the most amazing, talented, kind-hearted individuals who have done amazing things. I've seen clients produce music, movies, write books, work for big companies, uh, sometimes people who are maybe 1 out of 10 people in the world that can program in a certain programming language. Amazing individuals and families who just need to belong and be supported. And we could support these individuals in a very inexpensive way just by learning about them. So autism is an amazing thing. We're becoming a more autistic world, and I think that's for the better. I think we all need to embrace neurodiversity and be neuroaffirming. And some of my favorite people are autistic. And so I hope people start seeing that and learning more. And I hope this helps spread that awareness.
I really hope so too.
Mm.
But
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
so much for joining me today. Let me